All right, so as was just introduced, my name is Curtis Larson. I am a freelance developer. I've been working with Meteor for about 3 months with freelancing, and in total about a year before that. There's just some of my information, and this presentation is called Intro to Packages, Meteor Freelancer's Best Friend. All right, so what are packages? Packages are, things you put in and you like ship to places. That's about it. Any questions? No. Meteor Packages are, they're basically a way to have a collection of code that you want to be able to share with people, or you want to be able to have in a compartmentalized fashion. So if you have like a certain feature set that you think is really awesome, but you don't really necessarily want to write it many times in many different applications, you can create a Meteor package. So, and then you can use that Meteor package both personally in your own apps, or you can share it on Atmosphere, GitHub, and allow other people to use your awesome new feature that you created. And it provides nice things like semantic versioning, so you can make sure that if there are any breaking changes in your package, you can make sure no one uses that broken version. And it has a bunch of other nice stuff, which I'll talk about. So here's basically the contents. We're going to talk a little bit more about what a package is. We're going to create a package. I think we're going to wrap just some JavaScript library. We're going to test that package that we just created, and then I'm going to show you how I've used packages with freelancing, which I think is like the coolest part of this presentation, because it shows how packages and using other people's stuff saves you so much time, and you can be able to build websites really rapidly and like use the awesome features of Meteor that allow you to do rapid prototyping, building MVPs, etc. And we're going to talk about sharing packages because it's only possible if people share their features, if people like share their awesome new thing that they created. That's what makes the Meteor ecosystem grow, which I think is super important. It helps my job, it helps all you guys build your next awesome startup, your next freelancing project, or whatever. So I think it's like super important. All right. Talked about that. So we already talked about what a Meteor package was. I refer to the Meteor docs like every single day. It's like one of my permanent tabs I've opened on my browser. They have two like small little sections about using packages and writing packages. You can check them out. Just gives you a general overview. There's also a bunch of guides. If you just Google how to create a package, you might find my website, or you might find someone else's website, which just gives you introductions on using packages, on writing packages, etc. All right. So I'm just going to jump into one package that I use a lot called Mr. Galaxy Stripe. And it, with a few quick commands, allows you to add Stripe and payment processing into your app. That's awesome. Like how long could you imagine it would take you to create this payment processing system by yourself? It's like you can't even imagine it. But this short little introduction I've used many times. It's pretty much all you need to do to instantly charge people for whatever you're selling. And that's the beauty of Meteor is like, I think it's like way easier than Node packages. You just have like one command. You can use stuff on client and the server. You can also wrap NPM packages. There's just all this awesome things that you can do. All right, so let's continue on. And then one cool thing is that you can pretty much create your entire website with packages. And this is what Meteor Core actually does, so you know it's something cool to do. You can see all these different packages that the Meteor project uses, all these things that you know and love, like all the accounts packages down to really low-level stuff, including you can do things like you can remove the Blaze package and say add the React package. So you can pick and choose which ones you want to add to your project, so you're not having all this extra duplicate code and extra crap that you don't want to use with your project. You just remove it, and Meteor will run just as happily as it was before. So this idea that you can pick and choose exactly what features you want is another super powerful feature of packages. All right, let's continue. So the core of a package comes down to its package.js file. And I'll show one from the accounts password in a little bit. But it's basically kind of like a descriptor for everything that your package does. You can give it a name, version, summary, the Git, documentation. You can have NPM dependencies that your package might use. And then the super important one is the package on use function, which allows you to specify things like what version your package runs in terms of Meteor, what exports that you can use that other people can use in order to call your functionality in your package, and also what files and assets that you might want to add. So this is where you actually refer to your files that you want to use in a package. So we'll go ahead and open up this one. It's a little bit more complicated. As you can see, like the password uses things like random, check for security purposes, and adds just a few files for this super powerful package. But you can also see it uses additional packages as like base ones, like accounts base. So you can pretty much build package on top of package to add additional functionality to something really basic. So you can like keep moving that forward, and that's really shown through the different accounts packages that Meteor has. Accounts password, accounts UI, which is built on top of accounts password, all the different OAuth accounts, which are built on top of their OAuth libraries. So they kind of take the simplest possible thing and they keep building on top of it. And you can pick and choose which kind of level of complexity you want in your own project by just adding those individual packages. Like for instance, I only wanted Google OAuth in order to make calls to some of their API services. So I just added the Google OAuth package. I didn't want accounts Google. You can do things like that, pick and choose. All right, so now we're just gonna go ahead and create a package. So in one of my projects, I needed to parse an Excel file on the client. I didn't really want to use any node packages because I didn't really want to make that extra server call. I wanted everything to happen on the client to make it super useful. So I found this GitHub that is basically a Excel parser that both can be used through Node and can also be used to the client. What I did when I first made it, before I'm going to make this package, is I just included this xls.js, just kind of put it in a script tag and put it in my head, which is not the best thing to do. So we're actually going to turn this into a package, just to show you guys how easy it is to create. So we're going to open up our console. Can I make it bigger? Yes. Awesome. And in order to create a package, all you have to do is do meteor create dash package, and then the package name, what are we going to call it? Let's do my name, and then meteor xlsx client. So what that does is it just creates a simple folder and it adds a few files into it. It adds the README, it adds a simple test file, it adds a simple JavaScript file, and adds the package.js file that I mentioned earlier. So we can go ahead and open that up. So we can increase the size of this too. You can see that package.js file that I added before. So this, you can see like usually when you first create a package, you just want to immediately delete the client and test file because you're kind of adding your own files. They don't necessarily follow the naming schema that you might use. But what we want to do is we want to include this Git project that I referenced earlier. Let's go ahead and close this. We want to include this dist xlsx.js file in our package. So we could maybe just copy this xlsx.js file into our project and then do add files on it. Or we can do like another, probably more preferred method so we can keep in sync with this project, because we want to make sure that any updates to this project makes it super easy for us to also update our Meteor package. So we can basically just add a git submodule, paste. Oh, sure to get in it. Enter my password correctly. So what we've done is we've basically just created a folder called JSXLSX that has all that source code that is also synced with Git. And now we can just open up our package.js file and we can just add that file that we referenced in the folder. So we can just say add files, JSX, LSX, dist, xlsx.js. So most of the time this will just work, but it won't work in this case, and I'll try and show you why. Because there's a lot of things that might mess it up. And Meteor has specific ways in terms of packages and in terms of like global and local scope and how it wraps certain files in big giant functions. So I'll show you how that actually breaks this package. All right. So let's go ahead and add a test to see if we have this functionality to us. So if you look into this GitHub page, you can see that it exports basically a single XLSX object. So we can just open up our tests, which packages use a package called TinyTest, which is basically a super simple testing platform. It isn't the best compared to things like Mocha and other third-party testings, but I think it's something that they're trying to improve, but it works for us for our really simple package. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that this XLSX is actually defined so that we can use it whenever we add our package. All right, so we've added our single file that has that XLSX export, and then we've added our tests, so now we can just go ahead and run our tests. And in order to run our test, we just type, I think it's on the next one. Can't think of it off the top of my head. Oop. We just type Meteor test packages and then / to reference the current package directory. So this will, it's kind of similar to running your own Meteor project. It'll start up the website MongoDB and it'll spawn a little test interface on localhost. So once that's finished building, and you notice I removed the ECMAScript use from before, because if I didn't remove it, this would actually never run. So that's one of the things that you might run into if you're using JavaScript from that has like old, in terms of like old uses of JavaScript rather than the most up-to-date ECMAScript, it'll just won't run. So that's might be a gotcha if you ever try and make a package yourself. So we're gonna go ahead and run localhost, and boom, we see XLSX is not defined. So what the heck, we added that file, why is it not there? So let's go ahead and open up that single include file that we had. And you see, if you're used to Meteor, you can probably see it right away. In order to have something available in the global scope, you have to specify it without a var. So we just need to go ahead and make that edit. And then one other thing that I didn't do was I didn't export that XLSX. So I can do that by just doing api.export. Now this XLSX object that is created here and then used throughout this code is now exported to any project that adds this package. And you can specify whether you want to export it on the client or the server, so you can do something like this, client. And then you can also do the same thing for add files if you want to be really specific. We want to only add it on the client, so it isn't available on the server. All right, so now this is running, so this should work. Oh, let's refresh it. XLSX is not defined. So I exported it and var xlsx.js.
Did you save the file?
Yes, it did run. I have my backup project that I'll jump to in case it doesn't work. JS XLS. See, these are like one of the gotchas of packages. Is that XLSX /dist doesn't.
You have to add the file before you
What does the error say?
It just says it's not
What's the
defined.
failure message? Just not.
Yeah, that's something that here. All right, so backup project. Just to see, let's see, diff.
You're exporting it before you define it.
Ah. That is, usually it works, but anyway.
Add file should be in the right.
Not if you only have a single file to add, but we can do that, see if it works. But anyway, I did the other one, and I did a quick diff to actually see what was wrong. Yeah, I don't know, but that's one of the gotchas of packages that you just have to mess around with them for a while to get them to work, as is pretty much explained through that horrible example. All right, so we'll move on. Okay, so after you've actually created your package and your tests work, which might take a little while, you can go ahead and just publish it to Atmosphere. So in order to do that, all you have to do is do Meteor publish. I think it's Meteor publish -create, yeah. And what that does is it uses your username information, your get information, all that information that you specified in your package.js. Sometimes you actually have to give it extra information or it'll yell at you. So we have to go to our file. Let's fill in some information. Wrapper for XLSS.js. I don't think we have to specify Git. We can go ahead and publish it. Come on, let's see if it works. And documentation file's blank, so you just have to fill in some information there. People are going to hate me when they try and actually use this package, but I'll fill it in later. All right, looks like it's uploading, and now we should actually be able to search for it on Atmosphere. Let's just search my name, and then look for ones that's used. There it is. So that's what we just created right there. Now it's on Atmosphere, and now if anyone actually wants to use it, they just have to do Meteor add Quackware, etc., etc. So that's pretty simple if once you like figure out how to actually do it. But it's pretty simple to actually add a package, publish it, and let anyone instantly start using it. Okay, let's continue. All right, so we did testing package and using packages. So there's a few different ways that you can use packages. You can get them off of Atmosphere, like I just showed. These are packages that people have actually published. And you can also, if you don't necessarily want to publish your package, say it uses some private implementation, like proprietary, that you don't want to share with anyone, you can just create a package directory and just put your package inside that directory in your project file, and then just do Meteor add, kind of similar to how you would add it on Atmosphere. And Meteor is smart enough to say, hey, there's a package in my packages directory with this file name. Let's just use that instead of contacting the Atmosphere or like a remote server to search for that package. So that's how you can basically structure your entire application with packages and not actually publish them out to Atmosphere. There's an example of Atmosphere.js, which we just saw. I usually just Google Meteor feature name, and then the package shows up on GitHub or Atmosphere. I don't actually ever use this search engine. Google's like better for everything. Okay, so here's an example of a single page of a site that I made a few months ago. So all the red text is different packages that I've used on this page. So while you're like looking at all these different packages, you can think, okay, how long would it take us to implement each of these individual features? We see at the top, we have Iron Router for routing. We have Friendly Slugs, which turns IDs into like nice slugs by search engines. We have a wishlist link, which brings us to Amazon Product API, where we can interact with that. We have upload photos to Facebook, which we use a Facebook SDK package. We use all the different accounts packages because we want users to be able to log in with whatever social accounts they have. We use AutoForm Simple Schema Collection 2 to define our nice little forms. We also use some specialized auto forms like date pickers, time pickers to make it look nice with our Bootstrap theme we have. And then we use a automatic AutoForm Google Place, which does Google autocomplete using our party address. And then we use a Google API package to import email addresses, and then we just wrote that Excel package that we use there. So that's another one. So if you think, okay, how long, I just couldn't write all these packages myself. I don't even want to think about it. And here's another simple example. We have the AutoForm Google Place one that we did again. We have this awesome Google Maps package that embeds it directly in it, and we can have reactive changes on our map. We have the AutoForm files where we can upload pictures, and we have AutoForms accounts, etc. So all these different packages make your life so much easier when you're trying to build a website as fast as possible to make a client happy, because if you don't build it fast, they're going to be upset. They're going to be like, where's my website? So this is an example of packages. It's pretty I guess small to medium size in terms of how many packages you might use in like a production application. You can see probably all your favorites. We have all the different Meteor Hacks packages, the AutoForms, accounts, etc. It shows that it can get a little overwhelming. So at a certain point, you might want to, I don't know, because if you add all these packages, they're always available to your applications. So you might want to think about removing ones you really don't need, or ones that may be super heavy, because your website's going to get slower and slower the more packages you add. So that's always something to keep in mind if you're building like a large website. I wish they had like lazy loading, which I think is something Meteor's working on, to make this a little bit better, so you can only load packages when you actually need them. Because right now it's something I think that might be holding packages back at the moment. All right, so a little bit clickbait title: top packages that will change your life. These are ones I use pretty much in every single project that I have. Autoform Simple Schema Collection 2 to make your nice schema database hooked up to forms. You can do all sorts of validation. Iron Router. Might switch to Flow Router soon. You know, that's always up for debate which one's better. We have accounts and OAuth, which you always need in all your websites. Meteor Hacks NPM, if you ever want to add any node packages to your library, you can just do a quick NPM require and you immediately have it. If you don't want to wrap a package, wrap an NPM package, which actually won't be necessary anymore with Meteor 1.3. They're making packages a little bit better where you don't actually need to start wrapping NPMs anymore. Reactive Air just for everything. Roles, which allows you to easily define different roles for your users so that they can access certain functionality that other people might not want. I always use a Bootstrap package. I have my own little Bootstrap system I set up so that I can quickly add it with just some boilerplate stuff. And I use Font Awesome in all my packages too. And these are some packages that you might not necessarily know about but are also super useful. We have audit argument checks, which enforces checking of all arguments on Meteor methods. Just adds a little bit of extra security so someone from the client might not actually try and send you some bad data. It just really makes sure that you have to check all the data. I had to add this when I was dealing with like some HIPAA compliance data because they were really strict on what they would and wouldn't let into the server side. Friendly Slugs, I mentioned before, it makes your URLs look nice for search engines. Device detection is kind of like taking media queries but making them a little bit better. So you can basically replace entire templates and entire functionalities based on what your device looks like. So whether it's a phone, tablet, TV, etc. And then Google Place I showed is just one I've been using a ton recently, and it's awesome because everyone likes to have these autocomplete Google Forms that have you, like, they provide you all this address information, like longitude and latitude. You can build search engines, like location-based search engines with MongoDB by passing on all this location data. It's just super awesome. And then one cool thing, so if you have a package that you really like, but it's just missing that one small tiny detail that you need to change, you can easily do it by just creating your own package directory, going to that package directory, cloning the GitHub URL of the package, making your change, and then just adding the package. And Meteor doesn't add it from the external URL. It adds it from the local copy with your small change that you've added. So you can pretty much make any modification to any package out there, and you can store it in your local directory. So that opens up all these other possibilities of what other things you want to add to your thing. And if it's something really cool that other people can do, submit a pull request. Basically make it so that other people can use it. I did it recently when there's this Bootstrap 3 time picker that was awesome. It worked so well, but it didn't work with Autoform. And I was like, man, I really wish it worked with Autoform. So I made a quick commit that just add super simple Autoform integration, like one or two files, and then just submitted a pull request. Of course, 3 months later, the guy accepted it. Now other people can use Autoform. They don't have to redo my work, which is great. Now, it saves some other person, an hour or so of time. All right, so yeah, I'll talk about saving time a lot. That's because for me, I'm a freelancer. I have a lot of fixed contracts. I don't necessarily work by the hour all the time. So for me, if I can get something done quickly, efficiently, working as fast as possible, that earns me more money. It also doesn't necessarily save the client money, which is why they should probably hire me by hour now. But it just basically, it makes it so that I can make a living doing something like this with Meteor, building websites, living in the most expensive city, in the world. It's just nice when you can use something like Meteor to your advantage to really save you time in every single thing you want to do. And it really fits with the Meteor rapid prototyping model because you don't have to implement all these extra features. Imagine building this stuff in PHP, you drive yourself crazy. And if there isn't a feature, spend the extra time building it, share it. It makes everyone's life easier. You can have an awesome GitHub profile you can show off to your employers, how much awesome Meteor stuff you've been doing. So just imagine building that. That would suck a lot. I wouldn't be able to survive if I had to build all that stuff myself. Just give back. It's super easy. Start out with a node package or something really simple. There's a bajillion tutorials online. Just do it. Some additional thoughts, gotchas. We saw that, setting up a package before I failed miserably. There's a few things that you have to kind of get used to, and sometimes you'll still mess up. Files and assets are treated differently, like JavaScript and HTML versus, image files. whether they're available in your public directory or versus whether they're auto-included in your application is whether you use add files versus add assets. Breaking changes to some dependency you might have might break everything else. Forgetting to add a file, which I probably did. Messing up your dependencies. Yeah, and if your package ever isn't working, or you're using a package that isn't working, just clone it to your local packages directory and play with it there, put console log statements, do whatever you need to do. It's so much easier than trying to debug it in like the .meteor directory, because that's just crazy. And if you ever have a large project that has like tons of different modules, etc., especially if it's used by like two distinct set of people, where you might want to host it on two distinct websites, think about a package-based architecture where you can pick and choose what features you want to add. And you can kind of make it into, say, one package for your publishers, one package for, say, one section of users that uses your website, one package for the other section of users, a core package that's shared between those two packages. It just makes more sense than having all your code in a single client or server directory, which gets messy super fast. And in terms of picking packages, I usually just Google the package name, look through all the Git commits, see if it's been updated recently, which is super important. You don't want like a 2-year-old package. See if people are actively committing to it, and it's usually the first result on Google. It's the one I'll end up using. And other than the ones I showed you, or the ones I've been sticking to for a while, like maybe FlowRouter, I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Questions?
Thank you.
Comments? Go for it.
But, a couple slides ago when you were wrapping the Excel
Yeah.
package, is that the only way to export the variable to remove the var statement from that file?
I
'Cause it
think
seemed like I thought you edited the.
Yeah, I think there's another way,
Can you
but
repeat the question, please?
so is there another way to basically is there another way to export that library without having to edit it? I guess is what you really want to know.
Without removing the var.
Yeah, without like making any changes to it. There's been a couple of tutorials online of different ways that people have tried to wrap these JavaScript libraries that are maybe not on NPM, or maybe just client-side libraries that you usually install with like one of those, Angular thing, or I don't know, with some other platform. You usually have to modify it from what I've seen. If someone knows a way to do it without modifying it, tell me. Like, I really want to know. But yeah, that's, like, I rarely do it. I usually build packages myself or wrap NPM ones. Like, that's the first time I tried to do it with like a submodule, and it failed. What's up?
In situations like that where you do have to edit some aspect of a submodule that you've got in your package, are there any best practices that you use to keep track of what edits you've done so that when you update the package, you know what needs to change?
So luckily, like if you have it in a submodule, you'll be able to see the edits that you made compared to when you originally checked it out. So if you actually do a git pull on that submodule and there's any breaking changes that it would mess up, it'll let you know. Like there'll be a merge failure. So like using git to keep track of it, as long as you don't commit it, push it, because you wouldn't want to actually commit that to the project that you submoduled. But it'll let you know, and usually you can just go ahead and do a git pull, and it'll pull in that change. It'll still have that var removed for you, but it'll still have the most up-to-date code. Especially if you're doing like a super small change like that, usually you never have to worry about it. If you're making huge changes, you probably want to rethink whether you want to make something by yourself rather than like wrapping something else. Yeah, it's just from my experience with this. What's up?
Do you have any preference to making packages configurable, like exporting a configuration object or using a JSON file or something?
So from the ones I've used, it's usually like, I haven't actually seen ones that use like a JSON file that you have to edit in the actual package. I mean, maybe some like pull directly from your settings file. It really depends on the package, like what it needs to. Like for something like Mr. Galaxy Stripe, I think you actually pass that information through like a constructor. I think that's like one of the most popular ways to do it. You just have like a giant config file that you just pass in. It has all the different changes you want to make. Things like autoform, which are a lot more complicated, usually have like special options that you pass into every single small detail of what you use it. So if you have individual AF quick fields, you need to pass specialized options into those fields. It really depends on the complexity of the app, but just doing like a simple constructor with options usually fits for most cases. From what I've seen from packages that I used, I usually like that way.
All right, thank you, Curtis.
information again. Come talk to me. I have cards too if you want them. I also wrote a really simple development tutorial on how to build a basic Reddit clone in about 2 hours, and it has a free lecture on adding user accounts to your website in about like a few minutes. It's another thing that shows how packages are just like crazy awesome in terms of saving you time. But yeah, you can look that up on Udemy. Go to my website, etc. Yep, that's it.